think of when you hear the word cannabis?
Kyle.
I'm guessing something like this. There's some open smoke, smoking a maybe packing a bowl. See a few mouths watering. Well, what if I were to tell you that for thousands of years, right into the last century, if I'd asked this question, most people would have had a pretty different answer. Believe it or not, almost everything you see on that boat, now made out of metal and wood, was made from cannabis, or hemp as it was more commonly known. From the sails, to the rigging rope, to the anchor ropes, to the clothes the sailors are wearing, right down to their hemp sandals and shoelaces. So now why do you think something that useful and that long established might be illegal? Well, the story of how it became illegal is actually an interesting story. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of hemp and how certain forces conspired to make sure it never got to the marketplace and threatened their economic interests. As you can see, hemp's pretty useful. According to Ernst Abel, it's been around for over 12,000 years. The Chinese began making fabric from hemp all the way back in 7000 BC. Through the centuries, man perfected making fabric and cloth from hemp as well as rope, eventually paper. Hemp was the #1 source of paper in the world for hundreds of years, and it's the #1 agricultural crop. That changed in the Industrial Revolution when inventions like the cotton gin and assembly line processing for wood-based paper and fabrics became much more cost-effective. So hemp began to decline. But in 1916, U.S. government scientists released a report that detailed a new process for making high-quality paper from hemp. A way of making paper that was cheaper, safer, and easier than the current means of making it from wood. And a few years later, there was technology developed. Technology that would have done for hemp what the cotton gin did for cotton. It would have made it much more cost-effective and cheaper to harvest and process for commercial use. But hemp's good fortune would have been a misfortune for several other power industries and rich people. People like William Randolph Hearst. Born into a wealthy family in 1863, Mr. Hearst attended Harvard and acquired his first newspaper, the San Francisco Examiner, at the ripe old age of 24. With his outlandish headlines and bold editorials, he soon turned that one paper into a media empire that spanned the country. An empire that included over 20 newspapers, movie companies, radio stations, and magazines. His publicist once said that 1 in 4 people in this country got their news from William Randolph Hearst. Now, he not only owned media interests, he was also one of the largest timber barons in the country. So paper from wood was a big deal for him, since he owned a lot of it. So he used his papers to start demonizing hemp. Well, he didn't call it hemp. What do you think he called it? Right, Mr. Hearst introduced the term marijuana to the American public. It's primarily a Mexican slang term at the time. So he used his books, his newspapers, his movie companies to demonize marijuana and start linking it to violence and crime. He did that not just to protect his timber interests, but his interest in paper mills. He's not only owned the wood for paper, but he owned the mills that turned the wood into paper. And his paper mill, like almost all paper mills in the country, used a process patented by another company that faced a huge risk of hemp reaching the marketplace. That company was DuPont. So we've all heard of DuPont. They're still around. Been around since 1802. At the time, they were the leading munitions supplier to the United States government. Then shortly after World War I, they got into the development and manufacture of petrochemical products, mostly derived from oil, plastics, most importantly fiber, specifically nylon fiber. I'm sure we all have a piece of nylon rope at our house. But a cheap, natural alternative to nylon would have been devastating to DuPont. So at the time, their banker and primary investor was Mr. Andrew Mellon. But he wasn't just a banker. He was also the Secretary of the Treasury for the United States. It was in that position that he appointed his nephew, his niece's husband, to head up the newly formed Federal Bureau of Narcotics, Mr. Harry Anslinger. You see, he had a certain temperament for the job. He took to that job with zeal. He demonized marijuana not only in the press, but all over Capitol Hill. With his help, he managed to get passed the Marijuana Tax Act of 1937. An act that required anyone wishing to produce or deal in marijuana to have to buy a tax stamp from the U.S. government or face jail time or fines. Now, it wasn't just this tax stamp that made it costly, but the entire chain of custody for marijuana. Every one of those signatures was another tax. So while the tax hike didn't itself make marijuana illegal, what it did do was effectively remove hemp as a viable alternative to DuPont's synthetic fibers and Hearst's timber interests. So by lobbying the government and demonizing marijuana, Hearst and DuPont were able to keep a product that had been effectively used for thousands of years out of the marketplace to protect their interests. Why do you think anyone would take such a commodity like that away? And why all big businesses do anything? They did it for a big old pile of money.